right, guys, I have one of the coolest conversations today for you with Dr. Carrie Rose. So if you are wanting to create an online course, you're wanting to learn more about that world, or maybe you've already created a couple of online courses and you're wanting to kind of take it to the next level, this is a conversation that you are not going to want to miss. So Dr. Carrie Rose is the creator of a company called Of Course, which I love, very on brand. She's a #1 best-selling author. Huffington Post called her one of their must-follow women entrepreneurs. And she has the biggest heart. And one of the things that I think is really different from her versus other people who help with course creation is she has so much background in how we learn and education that she knows how to create a course that's going to get a really high completion rate, that's going to get people coming back to you and referring people to you. And so I just really wanted to use this time as like a masterclass, a mini masterclass to learn all things course creation. So you're going to hear from her. How do you know if creating a course is right for you? What are the steps? How do you price it? How do you sell it? Like all of the things that you could want to know about creating a course. And then she has a really special freebie that she gives away at the end that I think is a huge value that you're going to love as well. So I can't wait for you to hear this conversation. I just really fell in love with her during the conversation. Like I said, she's so passionate about what she does. And you can tell she's just one of those really, really good people who wants her clients to be successful. And whether you work with her or not, listening to this, you are going to learn so much about how you can take your expertise, and especially if you've been doing a lot of the trading dollars for hours type of thing, and you want to find a way to create more passive residual income, you're going to learn how to do that here. So I'm thrilled to bring you this conversation. And without further ado, I'm really, really excited to introduce you to Dr. Carrie Rose. Dr. Carrie Rose, it is so good to have you on the Instant Impact podcast with me today. Thank you, my friend, for joining.
I am so excited to be here, Elyse. Honestly, when we first connected, I was just like, this woman's heart is so big. And I mean, well, gosh, you're brilliant too. So I mean, it's the combination, it's the perfect fit, to be speaking with you today. I know that the audience that you take care for with such amazing intention. And it's really special that you invited me to be on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I was so excited to bring you on because one of the things that I hear so often from my clients is that they want to create a course. And, I'm talking to throughout the day, coaches, consultants, a lot of different entrepreneurs who are, many of them very highly paid, and they've made a lot of money in more of a service-based business, but they're getting to that point where, they're wanting to scale. And they're kind of tired of the dollars per hour game. And they're excited. They're like, there's got to be a way I can take this information that I teach and turn it into a course. But I think it can feel so overwhelming, and it can feel daunting and like a big process. And my understanding is it can be a big process to create a course as well. So I thought, who better to bring on and share all the ins and outs of how we actually create a course than you. And so I would actually love, just as we start here, Carrie, if you can kind of take me back into how you got into the whole world of helping people create their online courses.
Sure. So actually, it goes back to my childhood. And I mean, I'm sure oh gosh, what is the expression? We can always, trace the pieces if we're looking backwards. I might be mixing that up a little bit, but
we'll go with it.
Connect the dots. Yeah, connect the dots, something. In my childhood, and I witnessed something that was pretty traumatic, and I was left with selective mutism. So for those that are listening or watching and aren't familiar with what that is, it just meant that I barely spoke. Not that I couldn't physically speak, but I just really didn't. So multiply shy times 1,000, right? And I was like this for about 6 years, from the time I was 4 till 10. And I'm also dyslexic. So I entered 5th grade actually not knowing how to read at all, and I had one teacher, Mrs. D. Taylor in Ann Arbor, Michigan, take me from that quiet shell of a human being to the highest standardized test score that school had seen in 1 year's time. And what that left on me was this complete understanding, completely internalized understanding of the power of impact that we can create with another human being if we care and we know the right strategies to use. And I spent 10 years of my adult life in public education, really just trying to give back and become this detailer, working at a school with high percentages of students from low socioeconomic backgrounds. So just for some frame of reference, they're the kind of kids that leave on a Friday and you're not sure if they're getting fed again until Monday morning. And that kind of environment. And they really, those babies really need it the most. They need people to care, and they need people that know what to do with them specifically. And I just became obsessed with research-based strategies and how the brain functions and how to get people, to move the needle for people, regardless of where they're at and what they have going on. And I decided at some point, and maybe those of y'all that are in the service-based profession, you decide at one point that you can only help so many people if you work like this, right? If you're doing services one-on-one, I can only help this person in front of me, right? I have so many hours in the day. And for me, it was like, I can only help 20 people a year. And I was like, I want to do more. And I didn't know what that was. I thought it was working at the Department of Education, either at the state or federal level. So I was like, I'm going to go get my doctorate, right? And at that moment, I was like, okay, I'll go back to school, I'll earn my doctorate, and we'll go to the next steps. And while I'm there, I started learning that wasn't really what I wanted to do, but there was definitely other things, but I was still trying to figure it out, right? So I'm writing my dissertation on professional development, and it's amazing how the world aligns sometimes. I'm sitting in a world of beer one night with a friend, and in walk 3 internet marketers. And they say things that night like SEO and affiliate marketing and online marketing. And I'm like, guys, I don't know what you're talking about. And that was the first time since I was 10 that I didn't understand what was going on in the room I was in. Like literally, it was the first time I was just completely lost and confused. And I don't like to be that way. So I was like, I need to learn everything about what you're doing. I need access. Where do I go? What do I do? How do I find out? And what they did, it was amazing. They gave me access to online course after online course after online course, and to try to introduce me to the world of online marketing. And while I'm inside of these online courses, Elyse, I was seeing some of the bad behaviors that we see inside of the worst public ed classrooms on teachers' worst days. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, why are we perpetuating these old bad habits that don't work? And, really it's because most people don't know, it's like they haven't looked at brain research. And okay, cool. Cause like, why would you, except unless you're obsessed with it like I am. But, when you start thinking about things in terms of that, there's so much more that we can do inside of these online courses to really make an impact with another person. And it's not super difficult to do. You just need to know what to do. So I created a process that's based on over 500 research studies on how the human brain connects to content that we still build our courses through to this day. And as a result of it, and a lot of our focus on completion, we've had clients get as high as 96% completion rates when the industry average is 3 to 5%. So I'll tell you right now, like, no matter what you're thinking about online courses, if you're like, oh, I can't do this because people don't finish them or it's not really going to make an impact, I would just say, like, please put, for the rest of this conversation, any limiting beliefs you have to the side, because I promise you, everything you're thinking isn't possible for these people that go through your courses is 100% possible for them.
Yeah. Well, and that was one of the things when you and I first connected, I think it was last year, on LinkedIn. One of the things that really stood out to me was how much you care deeply about the person on the other end of the course. And I think for a lot of people who are considering creating courses, it's easy to kind of get caught up in the hype of, I can make a lot of money and I can get out of the dollars per hour game. But you have, and I know you work primarily with purpose-driven entrepreneurs who really do care about making that bigger impact at scale. And you have such a strong focus on, well, what's the user experience like on the other end, so that the person who's taking this really benefits. And it's funny, as you were talking, I was thinking about, I'm taking 2 different courses right now, and 2 vastly different experiences. And one of them, I can't wait to open up every day. Like, one of them, I love it. The aesthetics are great. It's enjoyable to go through. The other one, I was literally shocked at how poor the user experience was. And the interesting thing is, it's actually from a higher education institute. And I was shocked that they would create something that was so difficult from a customer experience standpoint. And I'm going to finish it, but it feels kind of like a drag going through it. And so I had never had that experience in a course before, but I know exactly what you're talking about here. I'm curious to hear from you. who would you say is a really good candidate to create a course, to turn what they may teach in coaching or consulting into an online course? Are there any good ways people can know, like, yes, it's a great time for you to do this, or no, you really shouldn't be doing it yet?
Oh gosh. I think if you had asked me this question at the beginning of this year, you might have had a different answer than where you are right now. So it's twofold, right? So for me, from you're trying to build a professional business mentality, you should really have something that you're known for. You should have expertise that you can share. You should have a process that you can walk people through. You should be really clear on your intention behind it. You should know your customer's success path and the journey that you're wanting to create for them. But if you're looking at it as, I have a brick and mortar business, I'm not a consultant or coach, maybe I shouldn't make a course. Maybe you should make a course. It really depends on what you're trying to sell, right? I mean, you could be walking people through, like, let's say you have a brick and mortar business that sells paint supplies, right? You could have courses that walk people through the different ways to paint inside your house or outside of your house. You could have, like, maybe you have a business that, sells flooring supplies. You could have courses that teach people how to lay floors, right? Because that process is actually quite difficult, So it really, there are a lot of ways to look at it as far as your business and are you ready? After I had something happen this year, which really switched my focus on this, because I was only looking at, really and truly, I was only looking at the people on the other side of the course for the longest time because of my backstory, because how much I care about students, and because what I know about the human brain and how it's all possible to make something really powerful and transformative for those people. But this year I went through my second miscarriage. And the first one, I got up and I had to work right away. I had things that I had to do. We hopped on a plane the next week. This one, I had so much coming in from my digital course sales and my digital product sales that I sat on the couch for a month straight and didn't need to do anything. And I really took some time to reflect on it. I've been continuously reflecting on that lately. Like that is probably not going to happen to everybody, but like at some point in your life, you're going to have children that need you, parents that need you, siblings that need you, something that you need to attend to. And as long as you are in a position where you have to trade time for money, you are not going to be able to meet those needs the way that you want to. And I think that just from a standpoint of well-being, you owe it to yourself and to your family. And if it's not digital products, that's okay. But you owe it to yourself and to your family to really figure out what that is for you. Like, what are you going to do? If you had to stop tomorrow trading time for money, are you taken care of?
Yes.
Not are you depleting your savings account? That's something else entirely, right? Because we want that to be there as long as it can, because at some point we're going to want to retire and not think about these things at all. But or anything could come up, right? Plumbing breaks in the basement. Extra things are going to come up in your life. But like, are you in a position where if you had to stop work for a month, could you do that? I read somewhere, and I might mess this statistic up, but like most Americans can't go to the bank and pull out $400 in cash.
Wow.
And not have it affect them. So if you're doing better than that, you're doing better than most of the world, right? Already, because like America is a pretty prosperous country, but like, just thinking about things in those terms, are you ready if something happens to your business? Are you ready? And so for that, when you say who should do it, I feel like everybody should be running at it, not just like thinking about it like, oh, when's a good time for me? But like, seriously, just the first thing you have to do is start, and then everything else, it's just one step, one foot in front of the other until you've got it done and you have something that you can offer to the marketplace.
Wow. You just blew my mind. I hadn't thought about it like that.
Mm-hmm. I hadn't either, honestly. I was like, if you're going to create a course, create an awesome course. And I'm still like that. But at the other side, like, you should create a course and it should be an awesome course. Done.
Well, and a couple things stand out to me there with what you shared. One is just the creativity with which people can approach this. And when you said brick and mortar initially, I thought, I was struggling to think of how that could apply. And then your examples were so spot on. And it's like, yes, anyone really can provide supplemental educational help for people to better use their products or services, even if they are brick and mortar. And then two, just thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
That
of
story.
course.
My heart goes out. I went through that earlier this year too. And it's like, you
Gosh,
get,
girl. Yes.
yeah, but it's so interesting because as you were talking about, like wanting to be available to just have space for stuff that happens in your life personally. Oh my gosh. I 100% agree and relate. And,
Yeah. And I'm sorry for your loss as well. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Well, here's the crazy, and you probably know this as well, but it's crazy how many women go through that and don't talk about it. So I love that you talk about it, because so many women do. And even for all the women listening who are coaches or consultants or speakers who are like, they're trading the time for money and they're wanting to have a child, and they're, unfortunately it happens to a lot of women. And it's just thinking about like, how can you be in a situation where you've got money coming in that creates space, hopefully for you to be with your new baby and to enjoy the experience. But then also if you need time for your own health and wellness, to do that too. And so it's a smart move either way to have additional revenue streams coming in.
Absolutely. To just be prepared for it. Like I look back and I was able to take a year off with my son, but with my daughter, I was back to work in like, 6 weeks or something? I was just immediately turned around and like, my daughter's at the sitters. I'm back at work because I have to do this thing. It was a different time, like I said, but 12 years ago. But yeah, so many people have like, well, gosh, you have a life. I don't think we're put here to work. I mean, are we put here to do good work? Yes. Are we put here to help other people? Yes. But just to work? Why? Why?
Agreed. Wholeheartedly. So if someone is listening and they're excited about this and they're starting to think about, I really do want to create this course, and have some of the time freedom we're talking about, and also like really help people learn what they're so passionate about teaching, what would be some of the first steps that they should be thinking about?
Sure. So I'm going to give you a bit of a pitfall turned into a step. Okay.
Love it.
So most people go,
avoidance here.
Yeah. So most people go, I'm going to take everything I know and put it into a course. That is oh gosh, biggest misstep number one is to put everything you know into a course. And it may happen in your business. You're asked by people all the time to do everything that you know. And that could make you think like, hey, I should put everything I need to know, everything I know inside of this. And what we end up with are 26-hour courses, 45-hour courses, videos being way too long. Okay. Just, people drop off course videos around the 7-minute mark. So 3 to 5 minutes on your videos. And nobody wants to finish them because we've got this weird conversation between value and time, especially if you're coming from a service-based profession and moving into creating online products. We're used to getting paid for our time. So when we're creating courses, we're thinking the longer I make this, the more valuable it is. And what you have to do is really flip that conversation to, I am taking from people's time. They're paying me and I'm taking their time, and they don't want to give me their time. They want the fastest, point to get the result that they want, the most direct path to get the result that they want. And so you have to think about it in terms of that. When you're looking at what you want to teach, you don't want to teach the breadth of your knowledge. If I taught the breadth of my knowledge, I'd be in the kitchen. I'd be in the studio. I'd be in the kitchen a lot because I'm a good cook. But I'd be in the studio forever just trying to film everything that I know to put it out there. So really what you want to do is you want to take a look at what's your standard customer success path, and where on that journey are the people that you think are going to purchase your information. Like if you get questions from your clients already, what are they that keep coming up for you? Right? Is there really like, my friend Tim Irway says, you want to take them from someplace in Sucksville to Awesome Town, but that's it. It's just someplace. It's someplace that they have a win from point A to point B instead of point A to point Z. What's going to give them the most immediate win? And don't think of it, like I said, don't think of it in terms of time. Think of it in terms of value. And value is really just solve the problem. So what's the one problem, not all the problems? What's the one problem that you want to solve in this course that's going to give them a result? Because it's twofold, right? Like if you don't give them a result, they're not going to want to work with you again. I mean, you're talking about those 2 courses. You're going to finish the one because, you know, you're in it, but are you going to buy from them again?
Yeah, no.
Do you want to put yourself through that again? I'm so glad you didn't say their names so that I can do that honestly.
I will. Exactly. Yeah. I'm determined and I'm persistent. So I'll do it just because I'm going to do it. But you're exactly right. Like I will find someone else for future content on that topic.
Yeah. For everything else, you're going to be like, search, I'm open, right? Yeah. But you want to create people that have wins with you, that enjoy what they're going through, that know that if they just keep working with you, they're going to get more and more wins. So for you, if that's a series of courses, it's a series of courses. If it's a course leading to coaching, leading to mastermind, if it's a course leading to service, if it's a course leading to brick and mortar, if it's brick and mortar leading to course, whatever it is, like you need to figure out what's the one win, you know, and that it's then their objective for the course. And so that they know, you know, if I'm in this course, my objective is to get this goal. That's what I'm actually looking for. It's not just to consume the course.
Yeah. Well, and as you talk about it, it makes so much sense because we get a high from like checking the box, right? And saying, I did it. And so the faster you can help someone do that, the better. But you are so spot on about coaches and consultants. We're so used to like, the more time I spend, the more I can charge. So such a light bulb moment for me. And they really should be only like 3 to 5 minutes for most videos.
3 to 5 minutes. And that doesn't mean that the lesson is 3 to 5 minutes. That means that the video length is 3 to 5 minutes.
Got it.
So you can have multiple videos in the same lesson, right? Yeah. But so think about your lesson in terms of your objective, right? So you've got your overall objective for the course, right? This is the one major goal. In order to have, right? That one goal, like in order to become whatever I need to become to achieve that goal, have whatever I need to have to achieve that goal, and do whatever I need to do to achieve that goal. What is everything that I need to accomplish in that, right? And then when you start thinking about it in terms of that, it becomes, okay, what are the mini objectives that I need to achieve in order to have that overall goal, right? And those mini objectives then start to become your modules and your lessons, right?
Got it.
So once you've got that kind of structure worked out, now you're really thinking in terms of what do they need to focus on? And this is the best thing I can give you as far as time, length, structure for your individual lessons. You want to think about it in terms of a focus question. So their objective then becomes a question that you're asking them. These questions begin with why or how. Because why or how generally requires more brain activity than asking what or when or which or who. If I ask you any of those questions, those are like right there questions, and right there questions are like, here's your answer. And so now I don't have to pay attention to the rest of the video. So or the rest of the lesson, you're going to ask this focus question at the beginning of the lesson. So by the time you finish the lesson, you should be able to answer the following question. You know, why is it important to have good sound quality when you're filming for a podcast? Okay. And so this whole lesson is going to cover this one topic. Now, anything that doesn't answer that question doesn't go inside the lesson. So that helps us as course creators with streamlining all of the extra stuff. So like, have you ever been inside a course or a lesson inside of a course where it's like, you don't know why they're telling you all of this extra information?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, that happens like, all the time. All the time. I was inside of a LinkedIn course once. Again, no names, right? Yeah. But they were talking about Twitter, but it wasn't connected to LinkedIn at all. Like it was just, I'm just talking about Twitter now. Like and entrepreneurs, a lot of us have ADHD. So this is normal, but you don't want to do it for you. You don't want to do it for your audience. But it helps us go like, okay, I'm going to put a fence around the content, and nothing that doesn't go inside of this fence is going inside of the course. It helps you as far as creation, keep that time down and streamline your process, but it also helps them, right? It helps them as far as I've told them what they're going to learn. And like, you know, you've probably heard of the reticular activating system, right? Like if you're looking for red, you're going to find red. If you're looking for the parking spot, you're going to see the parking spot. If I can't find the salt in the cabinet, then I can't find the salt in the cabinet, right? But you're telling them already what they're looking for. So they're looking to answer that question as they go through. So it helps you streamline the content. It helps them focus in on what they need to do. the end of the lesson, you just ask them the actual question that you asked them in the beginning, right? Or told them you were going to ask in the beginning, so that they are patterned, right? Their behavior is patterned out, that they know they're going to answer the question at the end. And now you've got like a process that they're going through each time with each lesson. But yeah, it just makes things a lot shorter. My course on how to create a course, all of my video material is like under 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a big win for people in 2 hours to be able to learn exactly how to create a course. Like
well,
that.
They're going to have to create it. So that's going to take some time, right? My goal is to get them the result, not for me to talk to them for the entire time.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Amen.
Different ways of thinking.
Amen. This is so good. I feel like I'm in, I feel like I'm in like a master class right now. So
Yay.
your question, and if I can, I may keep you a little longer than I keep a lot of people.
Okay, cool.
Questions.
Let's go.
So pricing. So
Yes.
you will see everything from like $17 to $7,000, $10,000. How the heck do we figure out how to price our course?
There's a few factors, and I'm not the best on the pricing, but what you have to look at is, what are they going to pay to solve the problem that you're solving for them? Right? And so like, if you gave me a $10,000 problem and told me your course with $1,000 and it'll fix the $10,000, that's a good enough ROI for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if that's the thing. Yeah. But I mean, some things don't work like that. Like some things are more ethereal, right? So what's the value of better health? Right? Well, gosh, I mean, the infinite price on that, but nobody feels it in the moment unless they're going through a health crisis, right? So, but what's the value on a better relationship? It's hard to say in terms of ROI, but we know like the extent of which, like if your relationships are uneasy, let's say it that way, if your relationships are uneasy, that's going to affect every area of your life. Like Napoleon Hill even had that in Think and Grow Rich, as far as like choosing your partner wisely, you know? Which I got right the second time around.
Me
but
too,
you know,
you and I have a lot in common.
Okay. That's so important. But like, you know, you really got to think in terms of what is the problem that you're solving and what is the value on that. And you may have it in terms of like what you've done. If you're a coach or a consultant, you may already have it in your brain, like, well, I'm used to solving this problem. It usually takes me about this much time to do it. And it usually leads me with this much money. So they're used to paying that. Now we're just going to package it, maybe charge a little bit less than that, you know, to try to, you know, move people along, saying like, hey, it's going to be self-study. And then, you know, and then you have some sort of structure around it. The easiest thing to do is just to test it, right? Like that's the first thing, honestly. The first thing to do is to test it. And, you know, I've even seen people actually end up lowering their price because their conversion rates ended being thus that their ad spend went down tremendously with a little bit of a price decrease in order to make more profit. So when you get into larger numbers, you're going to be looking at things like that. So what should you charge to start? Not free. Walk away from free 99 for the moment. That seems to be the go-to when you're getting started. Like, I just want to see if people will do this, right? And so I'm going to give it away. And the problem is there isn't a whole lot of actual research, like statistical data, quantifiable research that says why people don't complete courses, but there is research that says that if you don't charge, they won't finish. So that one you stay away from to begin with. And the other thing is, if you offer it for free, you're not actually testing the market. You're not testing whether or not they'll get their credit card out and pay for the course that you're providing. So that one, like, just stop. For you, for them, for everybody. Yes. It won't work the way you want it to. Don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it is one of those things where like you test the waters and you figure it out. But I love what you said about you're not actually testing it unless you're asking people to pay for it. Otherwise, You don't have true data. Now, one of the things that I'm curious about is obviously if you've got an email list already, that's an easy way to sell it. But what about for people who don't have much of a list yet? Like maybe they just haven't really focused on that. Are there other ways that they can promote and sell it well that you've seen that work? Or is it really better to like wait and grow your list and then do this? Like, what would you say there?
I would avoid waiting to grow your list before coming up with what you're going to sell. There are two camps to this. There's the blogger camp and the marketer camp.
Okay.
And the blogger camp is the create the audience and then offer something to the audience later. But what happens is, I think I read somewhere at one point that like 95% of bloggers don't monetize. It's something where it's just like, gosh, you put so much work in and then still can't figure it out. Or if you start asking them what you want, what they want you to create, it's not what your expertise are, because you've created not necessarily the right audience. But if you have something where you're already saying, this is my offer, this is what I do, this is what you can purchase, and you're growing that audience, you can start making purchases on what you have. The other thing is, when you're talking about lists, it's very, it's kind of abstract, because your list size can mean more sales, but it can also be not necessarily the quality of the list that you want, right? And I don't mean quality as in people, that's not it, but like, they're not necessarily interested in that. Or maybe they signed up for a freebie and they're not necessarily purchasers, right? Or the alternative is, you might have a small list of 300 people that respond to every email you send out.
Yeah.
And if they're like that and you've got that connection going, you may make more sales than someone with a few thousand on their list. So I would just offer the idea of put that aside and really focus on the person in front of you. I have a friend that she's caught the course bug, and she launched her first course a few months ago, just on social. She just started doing Facebook Lives and talking to people. And she was like, hey, I'm going to launch my course. It's going to be live this first time around. We're going to do it together inside of this Facebook community. Let's go ahead and if you want to work on this, this is what I'm going to cover. And I don't exactly know how this is going to go yet, but let's try it. And she filled the slots that she wanted to fill for that. And she's now on, I want to say, her third course so far. And she literally just started this year. Yes, we had her as a speaker on our summit. And literally while the summit's going on, she's like messaging me and like, how do I do a landing page? Like, this is where she was. And now she's already got, 3 courses in the can, right? So we're working on the third one. Everyone's speed is really different on how they approach this, but I would say run after it. Don't walk.
Yeah. Well, what I love about what you shared though, is we can make it so much more complicated than it needs to be.
Always.
Always. Yes.
Yay.
Yeah. I love that she just went in Facebook, did lives, announced it in the group, like recorded it as she went. Any of us, if you've got some kind of a group somewhere who's following you, any of us could do that. That's so, so simple. Is there anything else? So this has been so informative, and I love and adore you. I'm just like,
yay.
About who you are, and your heart for people, that you're really helping with this. So any other words of wisdom or anything else that I haven't asked you that you think is important for someone to know if they're wanting to create their first course?
Sure. I was talking to this gentleman yesterday that had so many pieces in place, but just wasn't moving fast enough. Not fast enough for what I was hearing from him, and not fast enough for what I know is possible. And so you hear these expressions all the time, like there's only so many hours in the day, right? Or how many of us have been guilty of saying like, oh, I'm so busy, right? If you say you're busy, you're going to feel busy, and trust me, you'll be busy at that point. But when you actually just sit down and start, there's an expression called eat the frog. I think it's a Mark Twain thing, but if you just start eating the frog, things go a lot faster than you think. And there's a term called, is it Parkinson's law? And basically what this is that however long you think something is going to take you is the length of time it's going to take you. And what I've proven to myself over and over and over again is that I get things done really quickly. And that's the story I tell myself, is I get things done really quickly. So if I just every morning when I wake up, I write down my overall goals. I write down what I'm manifesting for the day, or what I want to see happen in my world for the day, however you work on that. There's some other things I go through. But then my goals, and then my to-do list. So my to-do list is right after me focusing on my overall goals, right? So it's direct tied. No matter what's going on as far as work for clients, I am looking at what I want to see in my life before I write my to-do list. And what's going on my to-do list is everything I need to get done for me and my business before I start looking at everybody else's. And
Mm.
so you start getting yourself in a process of challenging yourself to do more. I was speaking to the gentleman yesterday, and he said, well, I want to get this in front of 3 universities by the end of the year. And I said, I would write down 3 universities that you're going to call today and see if you can just start getting them in front of those 3. And then maybe your goals are a little small, you know, because once you start achieving your goals and knocking them out, it becomes like, okay, well, there's more. You know, there's more than what I thought was possible for me. There's more impact than I can create. There's more income that I could have. There's more than you think is possible for you, because we all live with this, oh, I'm so busy, you know,
Oh,
mentality.
oh my God. I love everything you just said. And I'm adding that to my, my affirmations list. I get things done really quickly. I love that you said
Yes.
that. It's so funny. So I'll share this really quick. Cause I feel like this is a theme right now that's showing up in my life, is this process of a quickening, having
Mhm.
a quickening in your results. And by the time this airs, it'll be a little bit old, but this week when we're recording, I was in Vancouver beginning of the week for an event with a coaching program that I'm in. And that was so much of the conversation with the women in this room was how decisiveness and certainty creates a quickening in our results, and how we
Mhm.
drag things on so much longer than they need to last. And I love what you said about just being decisive. I get things done quickly, and then prioritizing your goals and what you want to manifest in that day to have happen. And then working backwards from that, like, you are speaking my language. And if more people could do that and also approach their course creation work that way, right? They could get
Mhm.
so much faster, and then new doors open up, and it just becomes this fun journey. So
Yes.
I didn't expect you to say that, but I love that you said that. That was
Hey.
awesome. Yeah. So this, absolutely. I mean, this is so amazing. Like, I know everyone is going to want to connect with you and be in your energy and your sphere online. So I know that you have a special offer for the listeners, which is awesome. So I'd love if you could share that, Carrie, and then also tell people what are the places they can find you online. How can they connect with you?
Oh, sure. So guys, if you want to, and I actually strongly encourage you to do this, if you're looking at building an online course business, we had a summit at the beginning of the year that we actually put together with Thinkific, which is a learning management system. So we teamed up and we built the summit called the Online Course Success Summit. And if you go to theonlinecoursesummit.com, you can get a free 72-hour access to it's over 60 speakers. I want to say there were 70 speakers, and we didn't do them as just the interviews. We had them, most of them did master classes. So completely free trainings that you can access. Some of them actually threw in free courses on top of it for, and I know I said don't do free, but anyways, they felt like they weren't going to sell them anymore. So they were like, here, you can have my free course on messenger bots. You know, like, I mean, they threw in their materials inside of it and shared some of the things that were working right for them right now, that they hadn't shared anywhere else. So it was really exciting to put it all together. So I encourage you to check that out. If you want to find me or dive deeper with me, you can find me at Dr. Carrie Rose on the Instagram, that's probably my most active platform, and I really don't not on it that much. And you can also go to www.of-course.us and connect with me further that way.
Mm. Thank you so much. You are a shining star. You are a light in the world, and I know that this is your life's work, is really helping people get their message into the world and serve more people. And you are doing it, and you are fulfilling it. And thank you for how much you generously shared today. I learned so much. I know our listeners learned so much, and just super grateful for you. So thank you, Carrie.
Oh my gosh, truly my pleasure, guys. I hope it was helpful.